We're all trying to get healthier. We know exercise has a big impact in that. But I wanted to go over a couple of studies with you that looked at the difference between very high intensity, so very intense activity, versus just moving. And there's a couple of studies. So the titles of these studies are very long, so I'm going to look at my notes. So the first one was out of a journal called PLOS One. And the title was Minimal Intensity Physical Activity Improves Insulin Action and Plasma Lipids. So plasma lipids are like your cholesterol, LDLs, HDLs, etc. So improves plasma lipids more than shorter periods of moderate to vigorous exercise in sedentary subjects. So as is true in many studies, the title of the study kind of gives it all away. But let's look at what they did here. They matched the calories burned for the groups that were doing the activity, and these were people that were normally sedentary. They followed them for 4 days. And in one group, what they did was they substituted, so basically people who sat all day, pretty much. And so in one group, they substituted out 1 hour for vigorous exercise and realized that vigorous exercise has different meanings depending on your level of activity. So for someone who's fairly active, their vigorous activity is very different from somebody who's sedentary. But again, we have a sedentary population. We're having them do vigorous exercise for an hour, and then the rest of the day they're back to sitting. Versus the second group, they cut their sitting, they attempted to cut their sitting basically in half. So half the time that they were normally sitting, they were asked to just move around. They could stand, so maybe standing on the phone versus sitting, but standing or moving, just moving. They didn't have to take a brisk walk officially, they just were moving their body. And it was interesting because there was, in group one, the hour of intense exercise, there was no change in what's called insulin resistance, so, or insulin sensitivity. So how your body reacts to glucose spikes and how quickly insulin comes in to handle that and how long it takes for them to handle it. And metabolic syndrome has a lot to do with insulin resistance. And so that was a key factor. However, in group two, that was just moving around for half their day versus sitting, they saw improved insulin sensitivity. Also, their triglycerides decreased, meaning they were probably burning more fat, and then their HDL, considered the good cholesterol, increased. So they saw better changes in the just moving around group versus the hour of intense activity. So their conclusion was that an hour of daily physical activity does not compensate for the negative effects of sitting the rest of the day. And I meet patients like that. It's like, well, I don't get that much exercise, but twice a week I'll go to a spin class, or twice a week I'll go to a yoga class, and or I'll play basketball with my friends on the weekend, but that's it for their week, right? So not enough is the answer, but enough was something that's pretty easy to do, which is just move more. And I was thinking about patients who travel and they say, gosh, I ate like a pig on my vacation. I ate so much, and I actually came back and I'd lost weight. Can't imagine why. Yet when you think about what you do when you travel, you tend to walk a lot. And if you're keeping track of your steps or your miles, some sort of metric of how much you're moving, you're probably moving 3 times more than you normally move at home. So anyway, I thought that was a cool study. And then the other one was out of the Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. And this was about high intensity interval training. Now in this group, they had the study, they had an active group and an inactive group. And so they both saw benefit from high intensity interval training as regards their metabolic health. And what they came up with is that whether you are normally sedentary or normally active, it really does make a difference to get above your baseline. And obviously the baseline for an active versus an inactive person is different, but striving several times a week to really get that heart rate up and get your baseline up is going to have a good impact on your health. So these were a little different, right? Because one is looking at high intensity and pushing above your baseline a couple times a week, and then the other study is saying, yeah, the exercise is great, and you really just have to move more for sustained benefits sort of across all the parameters of health. So as we're moving into the new year and you're making your New Year's resolutions, hopefully to get healthier and more fit, you look at this and you see, I'll tell you one thing that my husband and I have been doing is we have a trainer that we work with a couple times a week, and then do some workout on the weekend. But what I've done is I would either be with a trainer or I'd take just a walk, just like a 2.5 mile walk. And then I found some stairs, so now I added in doing the stairs several times in a row to get the heart rate up. And then what I did, I realized on the days I was weight training, really wasn't getting any walking in. So now I get to that gym early and I do my walk and my stairs in addition to my training. And so we're very wedded to getting stronger and more fit, and that's what I did, and it makes such a huge difference. Literally my steps will be cut in half because I'm here in the office, I'm moving around and a fair bit, but literally my steps will be cut in half on the days that I don't walk and do the stairs as an official activity. So what I was getting at is think about how you can sneak that in. A lot of my staff eat lunch and then take a stroll for half an hour, and they're very good about keeping their steps up. And so these are things you just try to shoehorn into your schedule and find a reason to do that. Back in the day, I don't know if they still do this, but people, when it was cold, they would just go to some mall and they would walk the mall. There's some great stairs in my mall, and you do those several times, you'll definitely get your heart rate up. But you can find it, in other words. You can find these places to get more steps and get your heart rate up, and actually stairs, you can find it probably in the building that you work, or something close to your home if you don't live in a condo or an apartment. But just find those places. It's so worth it for long term, and this is a little change that can have a very big impact. And if you've been frustrated about how you feel about your overall health and you want to improve it in the new year, definitely give us a call. That's what we're here for. We'll set you up with a consultation and figure out the best way to achieve your goals.